The interview was good. I think the one debate that we need to have is the narrative in the media, the ownership in the media. And how do we then say, if we say that media is 100% white owned, and what is the narrative? If the narrative is anti-black, anti-government, anti-individuals, how do we then change it? That's one of the most important debates that I think have to come out. Because you see the Ruperts sitting in their offices, but they are controlling narrative. And remember, media changes perception. Media shapes perception. We all believe that Jacob Zuma is corrupt. But there isn't one thing for 2 terms. He's going to finish his second one. None of the ministers that have even spoken against him have said, Jacob Zuma said I must do this corruptly. So the narrative that is being put out there is that black people are corrupt, black people in position are incapable, they don't know what they are doing. I think the world has even forgotten that the DA is in power in the Western Cape. No media house reports about employment in the DA government in the Western Cape. Nobody reports about their corruption, how their tender system. Nobody reports about that. Why? Because the DA is part of a white monopoly capital agenda of regime change, making sure that the liberation movement is removed so that white rule can come in. So the most important thing that we need to discuss is media ownership in South Africa and its narrative. Once we discuss that, we will realize that we are all being played by some white people sitting in the Western Cape, in Langley, Pennsylvania, in the United States, in France, in the UK. That's what you will see. So yeah, that's what I think has been left out, but it needs a 2 hours of its own. It speaks to exactly what I'm saying. White is good. Let me give you an example. The former CEO of Mango, who was the CEO of ShopRite, it was found that he did not have the right qualifications to be the CEO. He doesn't have qualifications. It was played down. Today, the same CEO is working for another airline. You understand? Then you have a person like Saudi, who never said that he has qualifications. It was found that he does not have. He was slaughtered. Then you have another white person who worked for APSA, who started as an economic analyst. It was found that he has absolutely no qualifications. It was played down. So white, if you look at the number of the biggest fraudsters in this country who defraud millions and billions, are all white. Are all white. But that is not played. A black man is a criminal, a black man is corrupt, a black man is stupid, a black man cannot run any parastatal. So that is why you have these programs like Max on Media. He interviewed me some years ago, I dealt with him. He thought that he was going to make me a joke, I dealt with him. Because they have this impression that people are stupid. Nobody gets out of prison and becomes a millionaire without committing a crime. So I am not a stupid person. So those programs are not meant for you and me. They are meant for them. They only call a black man when they want to embarrass you. When they want to say to the world, this man owns this thing. The one question that Max asked me was, how did you manage to make your brand known worldwide within a matter of months when it takes companies 20 years to do that? That's the question he asked me. But he would never ask a white man that, because I did interviews with the New York Times, CNN, and all these big stations. They couldn't figure it. How did I bring ZA brand and my brand as Kenny Kunene so high within a short space of time? So they bring you when they want to embarrass you. And that is why we need to create our own platforms. We cannot just continue to complain about them. That white own media, they monopolize it. I started weekly expose from scratch. I'm funding it. Now they are starting a campaign No, I'm funded by the Guptas. Where were the Guptas when I owned clubs, when I owned mines, when I did business outside of this country? They were not there. So it is an agenda that they have because they cannot capture me. Weekly expose has grown by 300%. We are being read continuously in over 10 countries in the world. Those numbers are there. They see them. And that is why they want to destroy the brand. But it's not going to be destroyed because our news are ethical. We've written about the finance minister. We've given him an opportunity to respond. We've written about the deputy president. We've written about many people. None of them have taken us to court. We have never been forced to apologize because our stories are watertight. I ate sushi of naked women in my club. That's how it started. I ate sushi. I was celebrating my 40th birthday. I knew that this society, when I was in prison, I was studying marketing. Not at the university, from reading books and reading information. My brother brought me stuff that I was reading. And I analyzed how in the US brands grow worldwide, but everywhere else they don't. From Hugh Hefner to Coca-Cola to hip-hop moguls, how did these guys make it? And I realized that Hugh Hefner started when America was very conservative. So if you want to create a brand, you have to look at what angle are you coming in. And I realized that our society is very conservative. And white people who are the worst when it comes to pornographic material, when it comes to shit sexual fantasies, molestation of young children, they are the worst. But outside, they want to portray themselves as holy. So I did this party, ate sushi of naked women. That does not define Kenny Kunene's intellect. It was in my club, I was selling my club, and it worked. I knew that it was going to work. I invited the media, I bought them alcohol, they went to write about me, and Vavi said nonsense about me. I wrote an open letter, I told him, the world fears you, not me. I dealt with him, because that's me, I'm not afraid of anyone, I only fear God. You see, so that is the brand that I created, and unfortunately, I can't divorce myself from that brand. An old lady in the township, when I walk in the shacks to go and donate stuff, they say, "Who is that?" Say, "It's the Sushi King." Hey, I want a picture. It's a brand. That is what people know me for, and I will never divorce it. I'm not shy about it. I did it on black girls. I did it on white girls in Cape Town.
So I thought it was a fantastic debate, and I thought the participation from the audience was spectacular to see some young and upcoming journalists participate and share their views and contradict each other. I think it was beautiful and robust. I think one of the issues is that there's so much to be spoken about. Fake news, social media, media in general, press council, media appeals tribunal, such a variety of topics that I think we need to distill a bit more what we're trying to talk about. And so I think in future we need to hang on to one topic, speak about that in its entirety, and then move on. This I felt is a bit all over the show, which stands to reason given its complexity. So I think fake news and social media are often interlinked, but I think fake news are specifically stories that are partially or completely false, that are put out there to draw clicks. And they are often shared on social media in order to draw a wider audience and in order to draw bigger revenue. But I think fake news is a specific agenda, and social media has a lot of positives and a lot of benefits and a lot of strengths, and to be just clumped with fake news all the time is also not particularly helpful. So yeah, I think that's something else that we need to delineate between fake news and social media. So I don't think it's fair to say that all young people who have a social media account are spreading fake news. And I think there's a lot to be said that mainstream media have a specific narrative a lot of the time. And it's really cool to see some different opinions and different perspectives. But one has to be responsible in that. One has to be ethical. Your online presence shouldn't be something that you can just say whatever you want. You definitely have to maintain a specific standard of what you're trying to say. But I also think it's incredible that you guys are all so energetic and are all so excited and are all sticking so fast to your guns with ethics. And I think don't allow Mr. Kunene to sway you from that. But it is something to bear in mind. Like once you get into the workplace, it is very different. But stick to those guns. Probably not. I'm not sure that he would let me in.
All right, thanks. Oh, we're good.
Thank you very much, first of all, for the opportunity. I think the highlights for me, more than anything, I think it was an opportunity for students to also experience how it's done in a practical sense. The setup of pre-recording of a debate like this one on television. So I think that for me, it's I would say it's the highlight, because more than anything, it's really about the students. We want them to experience more and more the things that obviously they will go and practice also in industry. But on the issue about the debate itself, I think more could have been explored, especially on the issue about fake news, which seems to be a phenomenon that is growing worldwide. So it is one that if not taken care of, before we know it, there's going to be a lot of damage. Just yesterday I was reading a story of what's happening in South Sudan, where you have a situation where people are beginning to fight amongst each other as a result of fake news. You've got different clans, and these ones feel undermined, that one feels undermined, and as a result of that, the information that is given to them or that is shared, it is actually incorrect. So these are some of the things that, in my view, I think they need to be attended to within the context of South Africa. I think there's a lot that is happening also in that space. We've heard of so many deaths that has been reported. In actual fact, when you try and check on that story, you actually find that it's actually not true. But journalists have a lot more to do. We cannot abandon journalism because of people that have their own agenda. We've got to fight this by all means possible. And how do we fight it? It's something that we've got to come up with strategies. But I would say, double check your stories. Make sure that your stories are verified all the time. You see, the difference, and I think this is one of the points that I was trying to make there. The difference between Twitter as in just in general, but let me just make this point, and I think that's where the debate I thought was going towards right at the beginning. If you're talking about Twitter generally it's a good tool because it allows journalists to express their views and give additional information. We can give thousands of examples. You know what happened when Oscar Pistorius was, the story broke, and how Twitter played an important role in court where journalists were actually not allowed to bring in their cameras. But on the point about paid Twitter, it does not represent the views of majority, or it doesn't give you a reflection of what is happening on the ground, because here is just an individual or a group of people that want to advance a particular agenda, and that is the difference. There's nothing I guess we can do about it, but it's a trend that is also growing more and more. No, what I meant by that is that we must enjoy this freedom, but with freedom comes responsibility. You cannot just, as a citizen, go on social media, whether you're talking Facebook or Twitter, and you start writing just anyhow, there still has to be some level of respect towards other people, but take responsibility also for the statements you make. We've seen a lot of hatred. There were many examples. You'd remember last January 2016, the Penny Sparrow story. I can give you so many examples. So it's not only that, but also you find people attacking each other and all of that. So all I'm saying is that with freedom comes a responsibility, in as much as freedom of expression is enshrined in our constitution. But let's not abuse that. Let's use it responsibly, and that's what I meant. But also on the side of government, because this is also one of the crippling issues. On the side of government, to just all of a sudden, because there are these new trends, especially on the subject of fake news, and all of a sudden you just want to regulate social media. It becomes very problematic, especially with a young democracy like what we have here in South Africa. So I am saying again here on record, I'm very skeptical about it, and without any fear of contradiction, I am saying no to the regulation of social media. Of course, there are people that probably share different views from mine. You don't want, as a country, to get to a situation where people are now forced. You always have to watch your back. You always have to think about what to say. Otherwise, we will get to a point where you are unable to hold those in power accountable when it comes to other issues, because as a journalist, for example, you will not be able to go and do a particular story, because otherwise you will be thinking, oh, jail this and this and that, and that, for me, that's where the issues are. But it doesn't mean, at the same time, it doesn't mean there are no problems, but let's find a way of fixing that. No, come on. Well, I guess the sushi king himself was here. I don't think so, quite frankly.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So I'd rather leave that to Kenny.
Okay.
All right, thank you so much.
Peace, where we back again.